Hey guys, been a couple weeks here. I got back from vacation, and then my dad got sick and passed away. So I'm trying to relieve my anxiety here by working a little bit on the bike after we've finished with all his arrangements and everything. But just started the other night, just scrubbing some of the chrome bits here. You can actually still see haze on it. If you remember, the inside of that was all rusty and caked up with mud and gunk. Same thing with this one over here. I'll show you my attempt at cleaning stuff out there. So these chrome parts are looking really, really good. So started to think about starting to touch up this frame. And I've done some research. I thought, well, maybe I'll take the motor out and actually have it powder coated. But it's really not that bad. If you get in here a couple spots, you can see there's a little bit of rust and gunk just in a couple spots. And I've cleaned them out, but nothing horrible. So I've taped it off here, and I'm just going to touch up those spots. I got VHT roll and chassis paint in a gloss black. This looks to be a glossy frame. And I'm just going to touch up some of those spots, you know, just a little touch here, a little touch there. Taped everything off so I don't get a lot of overspray, and so I don't have to take, you know, everything down and apart, you know, papered off the shocks. The one thing I did do, I hit this all with parts cleaner, just cleaning it off to start with, and then I'm going to hit it with acetone, or not acetone, but denatured alcohol over here before I get ready to paint. But up here, I forgot to tape off my tag up here, and sure enough, I hit it with parts cleaner and all the ink just went. So really mad at myself about that. I knew better to do that, but so getting ready to just touch up the frame, and then today I'll probably, it's a nice sunny day out here. It's getting cooler, late October, mid-October, I guess. These little pieces out here, I'll start taping off. I think I sanded those right before I went on vacation. And I'm going to hit them with the same VHT roll and chassis paint. And it takes about, I saw another guy do this on one of his YouTube videos. I forget who right now. But the results were really nice. Very impressive. It takes about a week for everything to cure before you'll, you know, put it back together and start putting stresses on it and stuff with the nuts and bolts. But I want to work on that today and see what I can get done. I got a few things. Got a new, well, it's not a new workbench, but this was in Dad's apartment. He was a master boat modeler, so I brought that over. Cleaned up the shop a little bit, moved some of his boats inside. Got a couple lamps that I can maybe see, because all I've got out here is these two lights during the winter. But that's about all I've been doing. A lot of scrubbing, a lot of brushing, a lot of cleaning up. And I'm going to hit this, and I'll give you guys an update in a day or two on how the results turned out. Okay guys, here we are after put 3 coats on it. Let me show you the stuff that I got here. This is the stuff that I use, VH2 roll bar and chassis. Apparently it's a temperature sensitive, but I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. It's been about an hour and a half. About 3 or 4 coats. I started touching it up and then just kind of blended it, and then my last coat I just gave a light coat over everything. You know, I had the engine all covered, of course, but I just took off the tape And if you remember the marks, the black marks, big rust marks that I had in there, they're all covered up now. Looks really pretty good. And we'll let this cure. Like I said, there's the swing arm down there. That was probably the worst. We'll let this cure for 7-ish days. I think is what the guy said. Basically because you're not heating it. You know, I imagine, although I don't think 200 degrees is enough. That's too low for an engine. I think engine paint's more like 385, 400. But anyway, so yeah, just took off. I got to pick up my wrappings, and I'm really pleased with it. Again, I could just kick myself for that. I hit it with Parts sprayer when I was doing the initial clean down, wasn't even thinking. And the whole badge there is just gone. You can kind of see where it said 1172 there, and there was the warning. I did tape off my VIN number because I didn't want to fill that all in and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Then I took a couple other parts. I got them hung up over here on the other side. Took them outside, did the brake cleaner, then brought them over to the table, denatured alcohol, changed my gloves, wiped them down. And I just applied my second coat here. This is the air box, the brake pedal, and the battery box. So they're all going to be that same kind of glossy black. You really can't tell real good. But this is just my second coat, my first big thick coat. I'll probably hit them with 2 more, and I just let them sit out here in the garage for till next Tuesday, and then put them together. I might try. It's getting afternoonish and I'm getting tired. Next thing I've got to do is the trees there, the triple trees. I've got some parts in those bags. Again, I've already sanded them all down, and I sanded the frame too. Used I think 420 is all I had, or 400, whatever. I sanded just a little bit where the rust was, where it was heavy. I had a couple bits where it was heavy in the back. I just used a little wire wheel. You could use a brush too, to get off some extra rust. You don't really want to, have a rusty frame and just paint over it. You want to get all that loose stuff off and try to clean it up the best that you can. So yeah, maybe tomorrow, maybe later this evening, I'll prep those triple trees. I got to tape off. There's bushings and bearings and all sorts of stuff. I got to tape them off. I want to do the parts cleaner and the denatured alcohol. For the console frame there, it's actually more of a satin. It's not supposed to be shiny from what I can read anyway on some of the forums. So I might get, they have this VHT stuff in a satin black. Might go back and get another can. I think I paid $7.99. I don't even know what I did with the can now. Paid $7.99 at O'Reilly's. I'm sure you can get it cheaper other places, but that's the car place that's closer to me. And if I get those cleaned up and taped off, maybe I'll hit them, since I'm kind of in a spraying mood right now. So that's where we're at for right now. Okay guys, just wanted to give you a short show up of the tape up here for the triple trees. I think this one is actually on top, and it's more of a, I think, a satin color. So I think I'm going to do it in satin. These other ones, you can see they're shinier. By default, I could not get this bracket off of here, so I just taped it. I'm just going to paint around it. But you can see, made little cones to put in the screw holes. Taped all that off. Hit the kickstand with the wire wheel, did 220 on it. Same thing over here with the stand. Put some tape around there because I don't want to get paint on the inside and then have to peel it off. So that's the center stand. These are all looking really good. They're dry to the touch. Now I read the back of the VHT stuff, and it's supposed to be dry to the touch in 20 minutes. You're able to handle it in 3 hours, and then fully cured in 7 days. So it's some sort of, I think, epoxy. It is a little bit thicker, I think, than regular paint. I really, really like it. The can goes all the way to the end. Unlike some of the cheaper spray cans where, you know, after you use it for a bit and it starts getting low, then the pressure kicks off, you know, and it's still half full. It sprays on really good. It's got one of the automotive type spray nozzles. I think I already threw the can out. I'd show you. So unlike a traditional spray paint, it's more like the Duplicolor. And it does appear, I think it's more like an epoxy or a, I don't want to say 2K because you really don't mix it with anything, but I'm really happy with the way the frame, and I got down here around the foot pegs so I don't have to disassemble that. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I got a little bit of paint on my rear sprocket here going out to the, not sprocket, but holder going out to the back wheel, but little 220, I think I'll take that right off and shine that up a bit. Yeah, I did, I forgot to take my this cord off, so this has got a little bit of glossy black on there, but that's all right. But I'm really liking the way it turned out and the way it covered and sprayed. Really smooth. It's not tacky anymore. This has been about 2 hours, maybe not quite 3. That's maybe been an hour now over there. But it's starting to get evening time. It's about dinner time, so I'm going to call it evening. And hopefully, if it's not raining or anything tomorrow, it's October 17th, 18th, I think. And it's just a beautiful day. Nice fall day. Probably around 68, 70. And no humidity, no wind. So a great day to get this spraying started before it gets too cold, and then you can't spray at all. So I'll get those done. I've got some stuff in the bags over here that I've got to clean up. Just kind of hit them with like I said, a 220, 320, something like that, just to scuff up the black parts. Then I hit them with a parts cleaner, which I get more of because I've used it all. Let dry in the sun, wipe it down, get all the dirt and crud off of it. Then I bring it over here, change gloves, do denatured alcohol, then I hang it up and I'm ready to spray. So that's where we are for right now. Some really good progress, I think, for right now. And maybe we'll get ready here in the coming weeks to start putting this together. I did, like I said, I scrubbed and scrubbed on these fenders. I also did the rear wheel. Took that cover off, so you might notice a little sparkle on that one now. I did the front wheel back when I first got the bike. So she's coming along. Okay, guys, just want to give you a little update. I got my final frame parts up here. It's kind of dark. Put that up. Yeah, it's not much better. I got the seat pan, a couple brackets up there. I was able to save the sticker really well. The one over here didn't do too hot. When I took the tape off, it actually took some of the ink off of it, most of the ink off of it. But they look pretty good. I got all my frame pieces painted with the high temp paint, or the roll bar and chassis paint. Anyway, put them out here this afternoon so that they could all kind of bake in the sun. The morning sun comes right down into the garage here until about 2 o'clock. A couple of them you'll see, like these here, are a satin black, and compared to the gloss. And that's because the console and that upper arm were very, very dull. And for the research I did, that it actually was that way. So that's all looking really good. What else did I do this afternoon? Put my brake shoes in. So that's not lined up anything yet, but new brakes. Springs are still the same springs, I believe. I just put Rust-Oleum on them, or the rust, Evapor Rust. A little grease around the pivot points. Not a lot, just a little touch there. And then on this bolt, there's a felt washer underneath there. So I took, it was all very dried out, and took some SAE 20 and let it soak up as much oil as it wanted. So that's looking good. That's my sprocket, goes on the other side of that. Frame is still looking great. I took my body pieces, so that's what I'm going to work on next. And kind of got them up here on the bench, so I've started put them in a pan, just spray degreaser on them to get off the ATF fluid that I put on them earlier, if you remember, because I didn't want them to rust too much. There's still a little rust on there, but it's nothing I can't handle. Just taking some 80 grit, gonna do it, and then I'll start on my Bondo maybe tomorrow. I have decided that I'm going to pour this tank. It's kind of like a plastic dip that goes inside of your tank and makes a barrier. So I'll order that tonight, and I might get some rust neutralizer spray just to neutralize any of the remaining rust that's on these. Got a little bit of body work to do here on these fork covers. You can see where they're bent because they had different size headlights on it when I bought it, so somebody had bent those in. So I'm going to work on straightening those. This, I think I pounded out the, you can still see it in the shiny light. You can see a couple little pings in there. But that was about it. I think a little spot putty glaze in the bottom of that, and you'll never know. But I cleaned all this stuff out. So I'll just start my sanding. This is the oil tank, of course. I pulled some of that dead out, but I didn't get it all. I think I still have little high spots in here. So I'll have to tap those down. And then I'll start the Bondo. So I'm getting ready to start some metal work, some body work on this over the next day or two, because all my frame painting, all the black parts are done. Did them with that VHT stuff. It takes 7 days to cure. It's like a, I don't know, it's like an epoxy paint. I think the only thing that would be better is if I stripped everything all the way down and then stripped everything all the way down and then powder coated, but I'm not going to do that. So that's where we're at for tonight. Thanks for watching. Okay, guys. Hopefully you can hear me over the fan here. Here's the fuel tank. Just my first rough coat. Basically, I cleaned it all down with parts cleaner last night. Just the purple parts and degreaser. This morning I cleaned it again with denatured alcohol. I didn't like the way some of the corrosion and rust looked on there, even with the ATF fluid, and I now had that all off. So I took a rag with muriatic acid over here, and this is nasty stuff, but you can get it at your hardware store. I had used that before on the inside of the tank to clean it out. So I gloved up, put on my shop outfit, and respirator, of course. I got my respirator over here because it smells the dickens. Put a fan up here to blow out, and just cleaned everything. Went over it for about an hour, actually, and got off a lot more of the rust and corrosion that had just kind of gotten through the ATF stuff. So then I cleaned it off again with denatured alcohol. Did a scratch coat with 80 grit, in particular hitting the places where I knew there were dents. If you remember, it was all kind of wavy up here. There was a big crease dent here. And then mixed up some Bondo. I just used some paper, mix it up in there, and go to town. So it's hardening right now. I just got it on there. I'll let it dry. Actually, it's flaking up right now. It's not even really tacky. Yeah, a little bit, but sand it down. This is just the first coat of Bondo, really to fill the deep pits. I'll sand it down with some 80 grit to shape it. You can already see that this one is too flat here. It needs some more bevel. Definitely, it's going to take 2 or 3 coats of Bondo, sanding between coats, 80 grit to smooth this out and shape it. Once I get it shaped the way I want it, so it's curved this way and curved this way, and I'm happy with it, then I'll be good to go. And then I'll probably work on the little oil tank up here. The other pieces are alright. I need to straighten those 2 forks, tee out of the way. So I'll work on that for the next day or 2. Try to get this to a state where it's going to hang. Oh, I did order a tank sealer. I can't remember, Pore 15 or KBS Coatings, one of them. They're all essentially the same thing. It's about 40 bucks, 45.50 with shipping. And basically it's got a cleaner that you pour in the tank. Then it's got a rust preventer that you pour in the tank and shake it around forever. And then you pour in like this thick syrupy coating stuff and shake it, roll it actually around, and it creates just a very, very thin 1-2 millimeter type of plastic. I won't even call it plastic, but it's a coating anyway. And so then you don't have to worry about any rust in your gas, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to give that a try, read the directions real good, watch a couple videos on it. One kit will do, I think, up to 5 or 6 gallons, and this is a 4-gallon tank, so should be good. Yeah, so we'll wait for that to come. I ordered that through Amazon. I'm not in any big hurry for it. And then I also got a rust neutralizer. I think it's by VHT, the same people who make the tape or the paint that I did on the parts. I'll take you out there to see those in the daylight now. And I'm going to do that specifically on the bottom here. It looks really, really good compared to the way it was. And this is that side. This side up here cleaned up real nice. But I'm going to spray that on there. And then you can put like an etching primer right over it. And it just basically kills the rust, turns it into a black iron oxide, and seals it solid. Again, this is almost 45-year-old tank. It's beat up pretty bad. I want to make sure it's sealed and can take the nice paint job that I'm going to put on it. Take you out here and show you I showed you the seat. Ooh, let's see if my camera will adjust to the daylight. And here we go. So everything, just really pleased with the way that VHT paint turned out. And like I said, you know, every morning I'm out here, I'm just gonna open up the garage when it's sunny. Kind of let these things bake here. Just gonna help them cure and harden even more. But yeah, very shiny. I did do a couple pieces, I think I told you last night, in satin that go on top on the console. So we're getting closer to actually starting to reassemble this bike. So hopefully in the next month or two, maybe I'll have it done by Christmas, and then I can go through the fun of getting it titled. We'll see. So thanks for watching. Okay guys, so this is the first sand down with 80 grit. Blew it off with the air compressor line there, wiped it off with some denatured alcohol just to clean it up, because I'm going to have to do another coat or two at least. You can see where I didn't even get to this one because I started to put that in and then it just hardened like that. So I'm going to put a coat on. I've been using just a hard block and 80 grit and doing a cross pattern to really take down the high points, and then just a little bit sandpaper to kind of feather it out. And you really want it so the high spots are all down. You get the glumps off of it. You can see here there's some more that needs to fill in there. There's a big ding in that. So I'm going to mix up some more Bondo and do another coat. I think I might go out. You can get, oh shoot, the word just jumped out of my head. An auto body sander. This one is really more for model work. My dad was a ship modeler, so he built model boats. And I'm going to get some sandpaper, probably a little bit more Bondo, because I've got to do that tank yet. And like I said, I think this is going to be 2 or 3 coats. Then I'm probably going to put a self-etching primer on it. I may even do, after I do my final sand of the Bondo, I may do a guide coat. Block sander, I think that's the word I was looking for. I may do a spot coat where you just kind of sprinkle it with some cheap black paint, essentially, just to get speckles, and then you go over it, and anywhere that there's, like you can see here is the dark, so that you know that's low, the white is high where you've sanded that flush. And a guide coat gives you more of that, so that then you can do like some soft putty. I've got some spot putty rather, to do that. Oop, my video cut out on me, I don't know. So, you know, some spot putty to do the touch-ups, but I still got, yeah, 2, maybe 3 coats, or probably 2 coats to do before we get this shaped the way I want it. So we'll keep at it. I'll get you updates after every coat. Okay guys, here we are after my second coat of Bondo and sanding. You can see I'm still filling in, but I filled in a lot. I mean, this is probably a 32nd to 16th. Still got some places that I gotta get, but now I'm finished for the most part with the big filling. Still a bit in here, but it's, again, this is kind of wavy. Still just using this. I did go out and get some good 80 grit wet dry sandpaper. Obviously I'm using it dry. And yeah, you sand it down using your block, and you want to go either this way you know, several times and then go this way, and that really cuts it down. And by using something straight, you can see you're going to be able to get your plane, and it's going to create, as you fill up these layers, it's going to create and fill up your curve for you. Probably the best, if we look in here, and again, this is just a rough sand, but you can see, you remember those big dents that were there, and you can see if you're looking at the horizon of the curve that there's no real dips. There's a little dip right in there, which again, that corresponds with these low spots that are going to get filled up here. So, ready to do my third coat. I'd forgotten how much sanding is involved with bodywork. I think that's why I don't like it. But it's still a lot cheaper than going out and buying a $200, $300 tank and still having to strip it down and paint it. You know, new old stock, and you don't know what's underneath there either. So I'm gonna start making really small batches, using my spreaders again to just kind of make that horizon and go one way, and then these are really flexible, they bend and go the other way. Really more to fill now. I blow it off regularly with my air gun down there. After each sand, before I do the next coat, I do a quick coat of denatured alcohol and let that evap off, just so I can build this up. But I think this tank is going to look really, really good once it's all said and done. I was really worried about it after I finished off the, you know, stripped all the paint and found all those Bondos, but I think this is going to do a good job. It's going to fill in real good. So we'll show the next one after the third coat. Okay, guys. Next day, I think this is what I hope to be my fourth and final coat, other than doing the putty to fill. You know, spot fill, little pinholes and stuff. Got it pretty good the way I like it. It's formed up really well. You know, again, just use the denatured alcohol, dust it all off, put on a really thin coat. Now you can see I got a little rough in here, but that'll all sand out and I'll do some spot putty. But I like the formation of it. I can kind of see how that corner compared to this corner, still maybe a little bit, there's a little bit low right in there, so I might build that up a little bit more, but I don't know, it's really close enough. Nobody's going to be able to tell and get out a ruler there, but just put on a very thin top coat, tried to keep it smooth. Obviously it started drying up on me here. That's the bad thing about this putty, and I don't know if it's just the temperature in here or what, but I had maybe 2 minutes of working time, and then it starts hardening. And once it starts to do rough, if you go over it, then it kind of pulls it up a little bit, and that's going to create a lot of little pinholes. But then again, that's what the spot putty's for. And I used only for this one, you know, maybe a silver dollar amount, and then you just do one little cross with the hardener. You fold it. You don't want to stir it because then that puts air and little bubbles in it. But you fold it, you know, and smear it smooth, and fold it, and smear it smooth until it's this reddish color. It comes out of the can. You mix it in the can. It's tan. I don't know what happened there, but it's tan when it goes into the can. You want to mix it up so it's a gray color, about a silver dollar, and then just one slice across it with the hardener and fold it up until it's kind of this reddish color. And then, like I said, you got maybe 2 minutes. So definitely do it in small patches. Don't think you're going to mix up a big, you know, pancake sized of this and do it. You don't have that working time. So that's a little bit of advice there. But we'll sand this down and then I'll do a preview. I did hang out the other pieces. They're starting to flash rust pretty good. You can see they're a little brown, and you know, once I clean them off. So spray them down with some WD and I'll wipe that off just until I get to work with them and to keep rusting. So that's it for now. Okay guys, so finished up with the 80. I went down to a, I can't say it here, but this is 180. There we go. 180 grit. I just finished sanding this. What you really want to do is, if you've done a good job on your 80s and really hitting around the edges, you'll hit around those edges again. Concentrate on that with the 180, but it's okay to do the centers too. And I've got this, I mean, it feels uber smooth right now. So I'm about ready to do, I think, some spot putty, just to fill in a couple of the big cracks. I'll let it dry, probably hit it with 180 again, just to knock that down. And then take it to 220 and then clean it off and it'll be ready for priming. The one thing I have not done, and probably after I, maybe before I even do the spot putting, I've still got to do the bottom side down here. There's a big gash down here. So I'll probably hit that next. I probably won't film anymore until I get ready to do the priming. Which again, I just went out and got a good automotive primer. And I got a, you want a filler. This one is for deep scratches. There's one for light scratches as well. But I got deep and sands and easily. It's a duplicate color. Can't take the top off, but actually I got it. It's got a nice spray tip on it, not like one that you get just at a hardware store. I think I paid $6.99 for these, and I got, you know, 2 of them over here. But once I get them primed, then I don't have to worry about it rusting, and you can see those, how brown those have already turned. So that's where we're at right now.